Hello, everybody. It's Fernando Labastida. Once again, in another fun interview as part of the speaker preview series for the UXAI Summit here in Waco at the Performing Arts Community Center, September 12th, all day. And I'm here with Michael Wellborn. He's the CEO of Stop Forge? No.
No. I am the co-founder and I am the chief relationship officer for a company called FireBrake.
FireBrake. Okay, perfect. Let's start this again. I'm going to start all over FireBrake.
Perfect.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Fernando Labastida. Once again, in another fun interview as part of the speaker preview series for the UXAI Summit here in Waco, September 12th from 8 to 5 p.m. at the Performing Arts Community Center. I'm with Michael Wellborn, co-founder and CRO at FireBrake. And this is really cool because really the premise of the summit is that we're not inviting gurus to come and speak about this who make a living talking about this from stage to stage. We're getting practitioners, people who are applying this in their own business and with other companies to learn from other people who are doing this themselves. And so, Michael, welcome. Thank you so much for being one of our speakers. You're leading a workshop at the summit.
Yes, sir.
And so I wanted to find out, first of all, what is it that you do at FireBrake? And tell us a little bit about, what you're working on there, and then how you're applying AI into that.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. So FireBrake is a company that was founded as a result of the Palisades fires. So many viewers will know the Pacific Palisades. That cost about $45 billion to the insurance companies in about 48 hours. And so it's a catastrophic event.
Right.
And that one was preceded by Lahaina, and that one was preceded by Paradise, and that one was preceded by the Oakland Hills. And throughout the United States, certainly in California, there are lots of instances where a small hazard, an ignition, has become a catastrophic disaster, a urban conflagration. Mm-hmm. And so when that fire happened, I was sitting in my living room in Texas, and I had grown up around Pacific Palisades.
Right.
And I said, there's no reason why these fires should develop the way they are. And there's no reason we should lose entire cities to an ignition. And I decided at that moment that I was going to do something about it. And so I founded a company, and now we are being considered by Pacific Gas and Electric, one of the largest utilities in California.
Absolutely.
And some other very large insurers to help make the uninsurable insurable and to decrease risk for utilities, for municipalities, and of course for utilities. So,
I mean, the beautiful thing about this, and all of this is talking about terrible tragedy, massive loss of property, and even lives. But the beautiful thing about it is that in this country we have people who innovate to do things, and I think this is a great innovation, and I really think that what you're doing is valuable. And in fact, I have somebody that I want to introduce you to as a potential business partner in California himself, right?
Perfect.
Who deals with the insurance industry. But that's off topic. But so tell us a little bit about what FireBrake does. How does it suppress these explosive fire situations?
Sure. This is a bit of a moonshot project, right? We are daring to dream, for sure. Mm-hmm. So we have calculated that, like all problems, they're easier to deal with when they're small.
Right.
Everybody is happy to do one dish. Well, most people are happy to do one dish. But facing the onslaught of a Thanksgiving dinner set of dishes is a daunting task. Yeah. Well, fires are the same way. You can't stop ignition, but you certainly can deal with ignition before it becomes a urban conflagration or firestorm, as we call it in the news media, right? And that's where we decided to focus our attention. I have a very bright individual, Mike Ralston, former NASA engineer, who became a firefighter after getting his master's degree from Berkeley, after his engineering degree from Stanford. So he's a bright gentleman. And he came up with a lot of this idea. And the idea is simply this: if you can attack a fire at the ignition stage, at the incipient stage, at the nascent stage,
Right.
then you can act as a force multiplier upon those dynamics. Those dynamics are the fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only one way to stop a firestorm, and that's to wait for it to burn out.
Yeah.
And so it's a force in and of itself, unto itself, and it is absolute. It can't be stopped. So the only way to stop it is to prevent it. And so we have created these devices using AI. And these devices are about 1 meter high, and what they do is they sense the air around them. They can sense the difference. You know, I hate to use the word smell because you need a nose to smell, but electronically they can smell, and they can smell the difference between a barbecue and a burning tree.
Right.
Okay. So hyper accurate sensing devices, a multitude of sensing devices, and what they do is they wait for ignition conditions. So I'll give you an example. On the day of the Palisades fire, we had single-digit relative humidity numbers. The
Wow.
day before, it was well over 36.
Yeah.
Right? So over 36, even though that's coming towards the danger zone, something we would know as a red flag day, sort of,
Yeah.
right? That's still pretty wet. And anybody who's tried to make a fire on the beach knows how hard that is in the fog. Well, by the next morning, it was in single digit. And so, and then we got the ignition, we got a flash, we had already the winds, and that's it. Once you write that recipe, there's only one thing you're going to get, and that's a firestorm.
Right.
And so if you could keep that relative humidity higher at that nascent stage,
Right.
then you have more than a fighting chance. And if you can affect the ember at its nascent stage, it doesn't become a fire, and it doesn't then create another 1,000 embers, and then the cascading effect. And so while upstream, you're only putting out one ember, downstream, you're putting out thousands, tens of thousands of embers, which is thousands of fires. So there's a huge effect upstream, and the farther upstream you can go, the better. And the furthest upstream you can go is using AI to sample the air, using AI to look at historical information, using AI to then formulate a plan, executive decision at the single node, and then it can interfere with that ignition process. But then it's also communicating with another 700 or 1,000 of these devices. There's almost one for every single house in the neighborhood. And they affect a region around them, and they instantly change the relative humidity and the temperature, and that disrupts fire in its nascent stage. So we're the first company in the world to fight fires before they start.
That's fantastic and fascinating, and I'd love to get into the physics and the mechanics of how to do that. That would be for another call,
Yes.
Another interview. But what I want to do, and what's intriguing, you've mentioned AI several times in terms of the whole process, how you've used AI for like sensing the conditions, the humidity conditions, and the type, the quality of the smell, if you will, as well as all the other aspects of the company, and then finally what you're offering. Because I met you at an event in which you were offering workshops on AI for businesses. So I wanted to kind of get a sense for what was it that you are teaching in that, and that would actually probably be the topic of your workshop. So go ahead and
100%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the topic of my workshop, and it's really our workshop. So it'll be Mark and I, and Mark is the CEO and founder of ModeForge.ai, and they are a marketing web and AI company. And we'll be doing a workshop together that highlights some of the most difficult and time-consuming aspects of business operations, and a way to quickly and easily solve those using the force multiplier of AI.
Right.
And then a big part of our discussion will be the fact that AI is not a panacea for problems, right? AI is as imperfect as its creator, humans. And AI is as diverse as a tool in a toolbox.
Right.
And so if somebody tries to eat a bowl of soup with a fork, they're going to be disappointed.
Exactly.
And that is the right way to approach AI. You want to see them for what they are. Who has hired an employee where they did everything perfect the first day? Nobody. And that AI is the same way. It's an employee. It needs to be trained. It needs to be worked with, coached, and it needs to be trusted less in the beginning than it can be at the end. And that's what our workshop will be focused on. There will be certainly practical examples of this. For example, one exercise that I had it do, I had calculated it would be 3 months of work for me to do if I could focus 40 hours a week on one project. Let's pretend for a second that that world existed, which it doesn't. Then it would take me 3 months to do that project, and AI did it in 14 minutes. So these are the force multipliers that we'll be discussing.
Yeah.
Right?
And so give me a little bit of an example of what that 4-month, 14-minute project involved.
Yeah, sure. So right now, what we're trying to do is raise money for FireBrake. And so we're in a capital raise, and one of the things that we do is communicate with VCs.
Right.
And in order to have a discussion with a VC, there's about a 3% likelihood of that, and that's being generous, probably more than a 1.5%, right? With a cold introduction, and that's what we're getting most of the time. So I had calculated that we need, say 3 or 4 conversations, so that's 250 VCs, and that's a huge project for one person, our CEO, Mike Ralston, to take on. And so, my part was to find the VCs, rank them based on their likelihood to invest with us at the stage we're in.
Their investment premise and,
Exactly.
et cetera. Okay, perfect.
Right. Are they right for us, right? We're a fire tech company, right? That intersects on InsurTech and on EnviroTech, right? And so we can kind of play in all 3 of those areas. Who does that? And then who does it at the amount that we want, which is a very small amount of money, $1 million. So it's a rounding error for most VCs, right?
Absolutely.
Because we're at the beginning. We're making a prototype, and that's all we need for the prototype. And so do they invest there? And then we're pre-revenue. Do they invest there? And if so, who have they invested in? How much did they invest? Who are their investors? All right, all of these things, you end up with, 10, 15 data points per VC, and each of those may have 10 or 15 data points as well. Exponentially, this is many, many months of work to work up dossiers on 230 VCs, all of their investors or partners, LPs, limited partners, all of their investments, right? And so that was my part. And I was able to give, like you said, the criteria. This is who we are. This is who we're looking for.
Right.
And this is what we expect to see in a dossier. The dossier needs to include all of this information. It needs to be linked, right, with a URL so that Mike, as he's reading it, he can just click on it. And the email needs to be there, and the phone number needs to be there. And, oh, Mr. AI, don't forget, you're supposed to provide me all of that, right? And I had calculated that would be about a 3-month project for me.
Right.
And it literally did it in 14 minutes. Yeah. Now, it didn't do every dossier in 14 minutes, but it came up with all of the investors and all of the research in that 14 minutes. And now when I say, okay, it's time we do 3 a day, right? Because that's all we can handle. Because we're a very small team, 3 guys, right? And now one new person, an intern, and they're going to make a big impact, and we're glad to have them. But we can only handle 3 a day. So now I just go to AI, which this particular AI is Claude, because that's the right one for this job.
Exactly.
Right? Because I'm not doing another type of job where I might want to use Grok, and I'm not doing another type of job where I might want to use Gemini, right?
Right.
I'm doing this job, and this job has cowork, and cowork is right for this job.
Yeah.
And I've given it access to all of the information that it needs in its own folder, and now it can go and it can work by itself. And I just go to it and I say, I'm ready for the next 3. And then it does several things. One, it makes the 3 dossiers, sends them to Mike. It puts them into our CRM. It creates a task for Mike to call them. It creates a follow-up task for me to make sure that Mike called them.
Right.
Right? It just a whole cascade of things happens automatically.
This is truly revolutionary. I mean, I've got to think that there are thousands of startups out there who would kill for something like what you've developed for this, right? Because, you know, startups in Waco, startups in, you know, think about Lubbock, think about Oklahoma City, think about Anchorage, Alaska. All these places that are not in the Silicon Valley on Sand Hill Road or, you know, in Silicon Alley, New York, Fifth Avenue or what have you, you know, need something like this because they don't have that ecosystem around them telling them what to do, et cetera. So that's fascinating. Now, did you build for this, did you have Claude build an agent, like an autonomous agent that does this for you? Or is it Claude co-work, just kind of working autonomously for you?
You know, I want to make sure that, you know, I couch this correctly. I am not a thought leader, right? I'm a guy that has a startup that's underfunded and has too few people working for it.
Right.
So out of desperation, I needed some significant force multipliers, and I needed them fast, right? And that's where all of this comes from, right? You know, it's you know, goes back as early as the first invention. It's necessity. I needed this stuff.
Right.
And there's no way for me to do it by myself. Generally, literally, physically, zero chance of that happening.
Right.
So this is a desperate move on my part, right? And I heard this thing, Claude, and I heard this thing, co-work, and I thought, if that thing has even a fighting chance of getting me where I need to go, I'm going to look at it. You know, they say, what is it? I forget who said this, but contempt prior to investigation will hold a man in everlasting ignorance, right?
I love that.
It's a good idea to know what you're saying no to, right?
Right.
Surely you want to look at it first and then say no, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what I did. I took a look at it, and what I found was a massive force multiplier. I have a team of agents that answer to me now.
Right.
I even have some agents that answer to another agent that answers to me. And they work that workflow, and one has a managerial remit, and one has a research remit, one has a proposal writing remit, and together they are my team. And so while I have 3 co-founders on my team and 1 intern now, starting this Wednesday, I actually have probably 20 employees. Between all of the AIs that all of our partners use, we easily have 20 employees.
Okay, so Mike, I want to make a bold statement here, but I'm thinking that we're going to have to be fighting people off from your workshop because it's going to be full to capacity, and people are going to want to be banging down the doors. I'm picturing those Japanese train conductors on the the bullet train, trying to push people into the car.
The door.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because
sure,
I mean,
sure.
this is huge. I mean, and it's so perfect for the summit. The premise of the summit is how can you get your zone of genius, your unique creativity, your unique point of view, and get AI to make your dreams come true, as opposed to just outsourcing your thinking to AI. And that's just a perfect example of that. So happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I'm happy to do it because I think this would be my takeaway. You know, this isn't, I'm not some,
guru,
software engineer.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah.
it's not. I haven't been studying mathematics for the last 40 years, right? I mean, I'm a business guy. I'm a sales guy, primarily, and I was just desperate. I was looking for a solution, and somebody said this could help. I had no idea how much, but my message would be, look, anybody can do this. Surely, if I can do this, if curiosity is all it takes to win this big with AI, then surely everybody has that modicum of curiosity.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of actually doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the hair on my arms just stood up as you were telling me what you were doing, and I think it's just perfect. So, Michael, how can people find you online, learn more about your project, get a hold of you?
Okay, well, probably first and foremost would be ModeForge, and that is my local company that I work with here. We do a lot of great AI stuff and coaching, and a lot of that stuff's free, right? If you want to bend my ear, you certainly can do that. I'll be happy to have you do that. Is it appropriate to give my phone number or my email? Or
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, yeah.
So it's michael.wellborn, WELLBORN, at modeforge.com. And my phone number is 254-447-9579. Now, I'm also at Startup Waco every Wednesday, not every Wednesday, just about every Wednesday.
Just down the street here on Allston Avenue.
Just down the street. And that's a great community of people, entrepreneurs, business owners, and free thinkers who are trying to make their lives better, but also Waco better as a business community. And Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m., we all get together and chat about how to make our lives and Waco better from a business point of view. And so I can certainly be had there.
Perfect. And, just one closing remark that I wanted to make. I have these contradictory feelings about wanting to turn people's attention to sort of like the dynamism that's happening here in Waco, right? The excitement. People like Michael coming here from California and doing exciting things. And there's so many examples of that in Waco. And at the same time, the contradictory image of, well, we don't want the secret to get out too much because then Waco will turn into Austin with all these people coming in from everywhere and clogging the roads with traffic, et cetera. But I think it's actually a good problem to have. And thank you so much, Michael, for coming and speaking to us today. And we're very grateful to have you as one of our workshop leaders.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you very much.